everybody, and welcome to the Level 30 Games podcast. I'm your host for episode 307, July 2025. My name is Tom, and I'm here with a lovely panel of folks. You know them, you love them. Let's welcome into the podcast today. You know what? We'll welcome in the man who'll be walking down the aisle in just a few short weeks. Dan, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here. Fresh off his trip from around the world, Drew joins us. Thanks, Drew, for coming on.
Ooh, banana.
Oh yeah, getting that sweet Donkey Kong action right out of the gate. And we'll to a man who we might as well call Little Caesars because he is always hot and ready. Joe, welcome to the show.
I don't appreciate the implication there.
All right, fine. Then you're Domino's. You're soggy and gross, and no one likes you. Is that what you want to be? Is that what you want to be? I didn't
Least
think
inconsistent.
so. Oh, there you go. That'll do it.
Go for Little Caesars.
Domino's is
All right,
more
well,
like cardboard. You're definitely hot and ready.
When you're drunk, it's all good. That's all I know. So thanks everyone for tuning in, for watching, for listening today. We got a couple topics on the agenda that we'll get through. We're going to open up talking about Microsoft, which seems a little bit rare for us as we tend to be mostly Nintendo focused because they're just doing some crazy shit. We got we'll talk about that banana that Drew was so eager to throw into his open, which I loved. So we'll talk about some early impressions. I'm not going to linger there too long, mainly because I know Joe and Dan haven't gotten in on that game yet, which their loss. We'll talk a little bit about, as we're kind of now past the threshold of the halfway point of the year, potential games of the year, not just for the industry as a whole, but for us specifically, because I know our play schedule and style is not that of the industry because we can't play everything. Drew and I did get back from a trip from Japan recently, so we'll probably do a little storytelling, a little show and tell there as it pertains to their gaming scene and that trip. And then we got our trivia to close out the show. I made the trivia a little easier for you guys this time, so please don't stress over that. But I'm hoping maybe we'll actually get some correct answers this time. Yeah, so let's kick it off. I know we're probably late to this story, but I wanted to bring it up just because of how it kind of impacts the entire gaming scene and the industry and the folks behind that make all the things that we love. But Microsoft in the last couple of weeks has laid off 4% of their workforce, which may not sound like a whole lot, but they laid off over 9,000 people. That's not nothing. There were a lot of studios that were impacted in this, some of which have put out some really great stuff. A lot of Call of Duty studios, Sledgehammer and Raven, were both impacted. Turn 10, which makes the Forza Motorsport series, Rare, formerly owned by Nintendo, who made Donkey Kong. There's the recurring theme this week. It took some big hits. Even Halo Studios, which has kind of not done much after a less than stellar Halo Infinite revival. And then some games were just flat out canceled. Rare was working on an original IP called Everwild, done. There was a new MMO coming out from ZeniMax that they canceled. And Perfect Dark, a game that was teased actually just recently at the Xbox Showcase a couple weeks ago, month or two ago, was done by a studio that was made for this game called The Initiative, and they just gutted it, done. And then there's, I guess, a Warcraft game that lost some support and new content. They basically said, hey, we're done putting money into this, so it's finished. Interestingly enough, as I was typing this up the other day, they announced that they are killing their movie and TV store on Xbox and Windows, so you can no longer purchase new movies or TV shows to watch. And I just kind of, anytime someone in the creative field loses jobs or loses their job, I always feel like it's a detrimental hit. And I feel like the transparency in we're making stuff to make money has never been more apparent. And so I just kind of titled this, What the Fuck's Happening at Microsoft? I kind of just wanted to open with some discussions to hear from you folks. It feels like to some degree they don't know what they're doing. And so, Drew, having been at least somewhat closer in the retail space, especially when Microsoft was kind of having its honestly, it's peak moment. I mean, I think the Xbox 360 generation for them was their limelight, and I think they've been chasing that ever since. Do you get the sense, like comparative to where we are generationally now with the Xbox Series X and S and what we're seeing with Game Pass or the content they're putting out, do you get the impression that their ship is being steered, so to speak? It feels kind of like they don't know what they're doing.
Steered into the ocean ground, like I don't know. Seriously, you release a trailer for Perfect Dark, which we knew was coming, right? And then 2 weeks later, they were like, we're canceling this game, we're cutting jobs. You're right. Xbox, the original Xbox, like, paved the way for multiplayer gaming. Like, everyone in college at the time was playing Halo. Then 360 added the online component to make things very easy. And then I don't know what happened with One and S and X. Like, I own them, but they screwed with the UI. They continued to, like, acquire industry professionals like Rare and ZeniMax and all these different studios, and then did what with them? They made a cool, like, the Fallout series has been dismantled. Like, after 4, they had a really rough start with 76, and then that's sitting there doing nothing. So I literally don't know what they're doing. Like, you have the PC, which is still one of the biggest gaming platforms out there, and you're like, I'm going to make a handheld. Maybe not. I'm going to make Perfect Dark. Maybe not. I'm going to close down all these studios, which already there's 3 different studios for Call of Duty, which I think is insane, right? One is doing Modern Warfare, the other's doing Black Ops, the third one's doing the online component of Warzone. Like, that downsizing might make more sense, but Microsoft's few and far between where they were in their limelight.
Yeah, and then Dan, I'll just bop over to you for a sec, because a lot of the 4 of us and a lot of people have multiple hardware consoles in our house or play a lot of PC games and Steam and stuff. But like, you've kind of consciously said, yes, I'm a Nintendo fan and that's always going to be a mainstay. But like, your secondary system, I would argue, is your Xbox. Do you have any regrets in how that machine has been utilized in your home? Do you feel like there's no value to supporting a big company like that doesn't seem to want to put meaningful things onto their platform?
Yeah, well, before you do, I got a follow-up question for Drew, just for clarification. The ocean ground, is that just the ground?
Sea floor.
Got it, okay.
That's right.
No, I mean, that's a really good point. I hadn't thought of that. What's been lingering in my mind is like how much of this that we're seeing in a lot of different industries is actually AI influenced, and people looking at what do we need people for and what do we not. And I wouldn't be surprised if the gaming industry starts utilizing AI not as a gaming feature, but actually in the creation, in the sort of programming, in the graphic completion, or I mean, I don't necessarily know all the nuances of what goes into the different segments of a game, but and that makes me feel where I don't feel Nintendo would be so keen to utilize that in a way. Microsoft, which, you know, from a non-gaming computer software provider, is using AI all over the place, and it I think cheapens the overall product. I think there's less originality, novelty, new things coming out. I think it's more of, here's already a version of what exists. You'll be happy playing that, and I think eventually people will just sort of start being like, nothing's grabbing me. I'm going to fade away from it.
Yeah, and that actually kind of takes me right to, I'm gonna read this quote from Phil Spencer over at Xbox, because I think if you read between the lines, it's pretty clear and it speaks to what Dan just said. He said, quote, "We must make choices now for continued success in future years, and a key part of that strategy is the discipline to prioritize the strongest opportunities, i.e. the games that make the most money." That's me inserting, sorry. He went on to say, quote, "We will protect what is thriving and concentrate effort on areas with the greatest potential while delivering on the expectations the company has for our business. The focused approach means we can deliver exceptional games and experiences for players for generations to come." And I think if you just read between the lines, it is very clear that they're supporting their cash cows, and doesn't seem to be a huge focus on
Innovation.
some of those shots in the dark where you kind of go, this is a new IP and we hope it's going to grab. And I understand that as a business, those are incredibly risky ventures to take. You're talking hundreds of millions of dollars as an investment to hope to get that back in return. That again, I'm not playing with my money, so it might be easier said than done from my perspective. But it does seem like it seems risk adverse almost, which I think is a negative thing for the whole industry. Drew, did you want to jump in there?
Yeah, so talking about AI, I've been talking with my students, and they're huge into Roblox right now. And, like, they're telling me about a whole area of gaming, like, I don't touch. But Roblox has become basically the new Minecraft in that you can make a game within a game. Like, someone made literally GTA 3 in Roblox. Well, now they're playing this one called Grow a Garden, and
Yep,
the guy who made it is making millions, and it was just one person who knows how to program Roblox. It's weird because, like, Phil Spencer was at the helm when Microsoft was a gaming leader, right? He was in charge of that whole generation, and I just don't understand. Has he lost innovation? Like, why does he not know where his ship is going? It's still weird to me.
Well, I think he answers to a board of directors and people that basically want to see growth, and growth translates to more revenue. And I think what ends up happening, and this has happened a lot in the television space as of late, is that the growth stagnates. And while I would argue stagnated growth can sometimes lead to really creative spurts of things unexpectedly, it doesn't answer well for, hey, why isn't my money making as much money as it once did? And so you kind of cater to, okay, we're going to trim the fat as much as we can and pump in money to the things that we know will generate revenue, because I have to prove to a room of really fancy people that I'm capable of doing my job. And I think at the end of the day, that is incredibly detrimental to the industry as a whole.
Yeah, but you can, using that same TV analogy, the BBC is a great example where they specifically did very limited seasons, and the American model was, let's milk this until the show is dead. And how many shows were ruined because they just took it too far for the profit versus actually creating and then leaving a quality show. And you could argue, like, the business holders should have the longevity to understand that eventually something is going to become popular. We're going to use that, but it almost like shoots off, cuts off their nose to spite their face to try to cash in on every single thing. It's double the return on the investment every season on season, instead of letting 3 shows be a flop and having one be a gem that people continue to go back to, or whatever, right? I mean, it's I'm sort of losing the metaphor, but
well, that's the situation with The Office, right? Like, it was 6 episodes in Britain, and then they hit gold in America with it.
Dan, do you see yourself buying an Xbox next generation?
No. In fact, I was just thinking about, Joe saying they're not the leaders in that field. I think a solid third place, right, between PlayStation and Nintendo.
Sure.
What was the last Xbox exclusive or even Xbox dominant, Microsoft dominant game that really carried some serious weight for people to run out and say, oh, I'm going to buy an Xbox versus I'm going to buy a PlayStation because I want to play this game?
I mean, for me, it was always Halo, and
sure, that's it.
that ship seemingly has sailed. But Gears of War has its fans, and after that, you kind of lose me. I don't know.
There was 6 months where I wanted Indiana Jones and the Great Circle until it no longer is exclusive.
Yeah, now it's on PlayStation.
Yeah.
In fact, a lot of the best profiting PC games, and I only say that because of the margins, are PlayStation games because they're able to retain their $60, $70 price tag and people still buy them on PC as opposed to the Steam sales, which kind of dilute everything down to it's $3 and I can, right? But like those Sony games end up doing quite well on PC, which like Microsoft, come on, man.
So to answer your question, I've purchased in my 4 years or whatever it is of having an Xbox, I purchased one game. I mean, I use Game Pass, but that's the game.
Right.
And it was Dynasty Warriors, which was I think it was on PlayStation. It moved to PlayStation, but at least it was always on an Xbox for me.
Well, let's transition there because I think there's going to be a strong parallel. And Drew, this will be you and me. So we'll talk a little bit about Donkey Kong Bonanza here. Because Dan, there is aspects of this game where I'm sitting here going like, Dan would love this because if you want some mindless button mashing, here you go. And I swear this game is like an OCD nightmare because I'm constant and an ADD nightmare. I'm constantly like wanting to do 8 different things at the same time. Drew, impressions. You're a lot further along than I am. I was actually surprised to see how much time you've sunk into this game since we got back from our trip, because I know that the Switch doesn't start counting hours until you get to like day 10. But I went on to yours and it's like Drew's played for 15 hours and it's probably more than that. But I was like, dang, you really dove in there, huh?
Yeah, so the 2 games I'll equate it to that I dove in immediately over a weekend was Super Mario Galaxy 2, which I beat in a weekend, and then Super Mario Odyssey. Both of them, there's a lot of similarities there in that I want to keep going, and the game started out a little bit slow to me, I feel like, whereas Mario Odyssey, I wanted to get more moons. In this one, I don't know, the intro I don't think was as appealing, but then like as I was going through layers and layers of the game, I was like, oh, it is an ADHD nightmare because I equate it to like Doug in the movie Up, where he's like, I just met you and I think squirrel. Like that's the way this game is. Like you're like, exactly I'm going towards this objective, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, there's a banana. Oh, there's a random fossil that I need to find. And like, so I think there's something like 600, 700 bananas, and I'm at the end of the game where I have like 500 of them. So like I really deviated quickly, and then and towards the end of the game, it was a little bit of a slog where I was just like, I just want to get this over with, kind of. But things like your Donkey Kong and you're punching down from girders, like something you've always wanted to see or do, that's what you're doing. Like everything is destructible. There's a lot of Easter eggs when it comes to older games. I don't want to say too many of them because I feel like discovering them in like these mini games makes it really good and makes you feel good about it. I equate the game with the destruction to like Red Faction Guerrilla or Deep Rock Galactic, if anyone's played either of those.
Long time ago.
Literally everything is destructible. It's just sometimes you have to maybe go in Bonanza mode. I really like the new enemies. Not the apes are okay, but the crocoids are very similar to like Kremlings, a shell. A lot of the bosses are of like Legend of Zelda boss style. They're big and like have a lot of character and personality. They're not very tough. And then the last thing I will say is all of the rare influences. I feel like it's a successor to Banjo-Kazooie with like the jiggies and the puzzle pieces and all those things. I read an article that the guy who was directing it was like, I'm going to play every Donkey Kong before this in order to make it worthwhile for people to enjoy. And again, there's so many Easter eggs that you're constantly like, they really did some due diligence with like a timeline. People are freaking out about that, but the game is very fun. I just think there are times where I'm just like, okay, smashing can get a little bit boring. Like, I love Dynasty Warriors like Dan, but there are times where I'm like, oh, okay, we're on Dynasty Warriors 9. I don't know how much more of this I can do. But if I get Donkey Kong Bonanza like 6, sure, I'll keep playing.
Oh, I can only hope that there will be more Donkey Kongs, but we're still waiting on sequels for like Odyssey and things like that as well. This game on so many levels it's not perfect. I don't know, Drew, if you found some people have been complaining about motion sickness. I thought early on I was not impressed with how the camera works, especially when you start digging down. I'm like, how the hell do I get out? I don't know where I am. But damn, does this game feel really good to play. It controls well. The moveset is robust, and it doesn't feel like I got to memorize some weird, different, like, combo configurations. Like, I remember in Odyssey, it was like, all right, well, if you do like a triple jump and then dive and then throw the hat and dive again and then roll and then you can do it back. I'm like, dude, my brain can't keep up with that. But this seems to find that balance, at least so far. I'm on the second level where I'm like, okay, this area is clearly designed to show you how to do like the rock sledding stuff, and it's really intuitive and it's really satisfying. I think the relationship between Donkey Kong and Pauline is like really adorable, and it's fun. Like, there's you can see the Odyssey influences stylistically. I feel like there's actually a little bit of a Splatoon style to this to some degree as well. The music is off the chains. It is really, really good. And so I'm interested to hear what Joe would say about it if he got his hands on it. And Dan especially, because I feel like this game has you written all over it, but there's still a sliver of me that's like, he might not like this. I think it's amazing, and I'm excited when you finally play it to go, yeah, that game was great.
I've thought about it. I do love a good button smasher. I loved the Red Faction, like, blow up the wall and create your own mini caves. You know, I loved the Mario Odyssey. You know, you look right, there's a moon, and as you're going to it, there's another thing that grabs your. It sort of sounds like right up my alley.
Yeah, it's really, really good, and I think it might be my front runner for Game of the Year. But I feel like also, as we kind of jump to this topic, we probably won't linger here too long either, because my realization as I was coming up with this list, and this is curated based solely on Metacritic score, of these would be your front runners for Game of the Year so far as we finish July and head towards August. Claire Obscure, Expedition 33, Blueprints, Split Fiction, Donkey Kong Bonanza, Despelate, which is a game actually I really want to check out, Death Stranding 2, Monster Hunter Wilds, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, Monster Train 2, and then Mario Kart World being in the 10 slot. There's a lot of good games this year, and as I was jotting this list down, I realized I haven't played most of them. Dan, I know you got into Blueprints, right?
I love Blueprints, and I actually... I found a trailer for Blueprints a couple months ago, and I think I downloaded it the day it came out, which is really rare for me. I just was so intrigued by it. And I haven't played a lot of these either, but when I looked up Blueprints and saw how high it was rated on Metacritic, I went, okay, that makes sense. I actually agree with that, and it makes me feel better, because the whole time I was playing, I was thinking, this is one of the most original games I've ever played in my life. It stuck with me in a way that a lot of video games haven't. There's just a feeling you get when you're in it, whether it's the stagnancy of it or the music that's very like calming, but yet sort of intriguing at the same time, which is not, I feel like a lot of, to sort of build on that Donkey Kong thought, it's the opposite of an ADHD, just overstimulation. It's like you could actually set the controller down in the middle of playing the round and nothing happens to you, or no time passes, there's no penalty, which is kind of refreshing in today's gamescape. I'll throw two others on here that haven't come out yet, but I did sort of see in the people are curious about them, but that's Metroid Prime 4 and Hades 2 as predictions for coming out. And those are both games that I would definitely play and could anticipate being Game of the Year as well.
Yeah, I can definitely see them both being in there. Drew, you didn't get a chance last time, but you kind of teased it as we were closing the show. You were incredibly high on Claire Obscure. Tell us why.
I would just like to finish it, and then I'll decide. But the art direction, the music, the style of gameplay is kind of like Dark Souls-esque because it's a lot of, or like Witcher 3, a lot of parrying and dodging, and you have to... It just really changes the RPG aspect of sit, click a menu, and then wait for your turn again. And overall, just it feels good. I kind of like where the story's going. It's a little odd, but the voice acting, just the game in general is one that will linger with me for quite a while.
Yeah, and I've been enjoying it. I think I am going to take the plunge and basically shift into story mode difficulty-wise to get through it, because some of those battles I just was doing like 10 or 12 times, and I'm like, I'm being put off by this. The story is very engaging. The music is great. You're right. The art direction is just unreal. It is a great game, and I'm glad that you've been enjoying it more than I have, because I think the hype got to me a little bit. Mario Kart made some pretty drastic changes this time around. Is there a world in which it is in the Game of the Year conversation?
Don't family games tend to not do well in Game of the Year runnings because people tend to see them as less mature or...
I mean, you say that, but then Astrobot wins last year.
That's true. That's true.
You know, they out Nintendo, everyone said. So, yeah, I think that actually hurts Donkey Kong's chances as well, even though I think it would be. So this is an interesting list. I know, Drew, you said you've been wanting to try Death Stranding as well. I almost picked up Monster Hunter. And then, we still have the second half of the year to come. So this list will shift. We'll revisit probably November to kind of get a glimpse of what we think heading into the home stretch of the year. I just know it's harder to stay on top of playing all these games. So, Joe, don't feel bad. I who's got the time anymore, right? Like, that's kind of the whole point of this show, is that we can't sit down and play these games every other week and finish them maybe like we would have in college or something. So
I have a quick point.
Go for it.
So there's an article I read, I think in the last week, that stated that reviewers are much more generous when it comes to giving out scores. So, like,
I did read that article too.
Any TV show or movie you see nowadays, it's like, 100% Rotten Tomatoes. It's like, well, yeah, how many people have reviewed this movie? The same thing goes with games. Like Donkey Kong, if Famitsu was still a thing, would have gotten a 40 out of 40, right? But like,
actually, I think Famitsu is still a thing.
Oh, is it?
I think it got a 38 out of 40.
Okay, so it wasn't perfect, but I've seen a lot of things that are giving it 10s. Like you said, there are frame rate issues I've seen. It is pushing the limits of the Switch 2 already, which is kind of sad, but it's tough because there's so many games on there that I want to play, and again, it comes down to time.
Oh, it always does. It always does. So, maybe at the end of the year, we'll do, hey, these are the games that we like this year, and fuck it, if they didn't actually come out this year, we'll just, like I beat Dragon Quest 3 this year, and that game is a remake of a game that's 40 years old. So, like, not in the conversation anymore, but it could be in our conversation. So we'll keep an eye peeled, but those are some of the highlights that we hit. I don't have a clean segue for this, so now I feel like I made an awkward pause for nothing.
Japan!
Wonderful transition, not to exclude Joe or Dan from the conversation at all. But I wanted to talk a little bit about our trip. Drew, if that's okay with you.
It's fine.
So Drew and I went to Japan for 12 days, spent some time in Tokyo and Osaka, and did some day trips to some other cities. But I guess I more specifically wanted to talk a little bit about the gaming scene in Japan, as it was both like prevalent but also not very forward facing. I've been reading more and more articles of all these like famous arcades in Japan that are closing down. In fact, other than like 2 pachinko parlors that Drew and I were afraid to figure out how to play on the spot, like we didn't see any arcades or anything. We found a couple arcade machines at the top floor of a gaming store, but that was kind of about it. So, Drew, do you want to just run through some highlights in regards to like some of the Nintendo stores, Pokemon stores, or the retro stores that we went to?
Well, I'm used to one Nintendo store in the States, which is New York, and now there's another in San Fran. And it was very interesting to go to 4 different major cities and all have their own Nintendo store that we sought out.
With different merchandise, too.
Yeah, with different merchandise. So, like, one was solely focused on Mario things, another one was focused on more Legend of Zelda. A lot of them had Splatoon sprinkled throughout. One was very DK oriented, and it was cool to, like, every time you go into a new store, find new objects that you didn't find in the other, but at the same time you're like, well, I just bought this at this other one. Would I have bought it if I got it into this Nintendo store? So there are a lot of things to talk about. There are like the little D-pads, or I got the AB button from Nintendo, so I can have a fidget, and like a Korok, and all the different Pokemon.
I can't wait to make that a sound effect that I'm going to clip out for next show. I'm just going to start using that for stuff. Just sprinkle it throughout.
But I don't know. I love Nintendo Store, so like seeing 4 other ones is impressive. But at the same time, it's like I don't have the money to spend on all of these stores.
We still found a way to spend a lot of money at those stores, though.
Yeah, quite a bit.
Pokemon stores were cool, but the shopping culture over there is very different. I was telling Dan earlier, I was like, because I sent him a picture, I think actually I sent you all a picture of this Legend of Zelda like tote bag that had 16-bit Link on it, passed out in the middle, surrounded by chickens, and Dan was like, oh, that's really cool. And I was like, all right, cool. Maybe I'll get that for Dan at the next store. Well, the next store didn't have it because they didn't sell it. And so it was really weird to go, well, wait, how come you don't carry it? Well, that's that store exclusive. And I think the Pokemon centers were actually a little bit more intense in that regard. So like each store has exclusive merch, but it's branded towards that store. So like we picked up, these little Pikachu guys, right? That like this is exclusive to the Pokemon in Hiroshima, but the other stores had different characters, and these change like every year. They have like a different store exclusive, and everyone will go out and try to get a pin set from like a certain pin from each store as well. And so that was like kind of wild to me. I don't know what the American crossover would be.
Well, I was going to say that when the amiibos, when they first started coming out, particularly for like Super Smash, it was like this
there
store.
You go.
This store had like 5 or 6, but you were looking for that one character you didn't have.
Yeah, that's true. You're right. That would be the closest parallel in that there would be store exclusives for some of that stuff. Absolutely. That I wish I thought of that earlier, but I didn't. But some of the retro stores were really cool as well. It was fun participating in a hobby across the country. It felt very familiar, and it was just kind of cool, as Drew and I will tend to like find local game shops and go off the beaten trail a little bit here. It was fun to do that there. We spent like an hour or 2 in each shop. We did Super Potato, which is like the most well-known one in where was that? I'm drawing a blank now.
Super Potatoes in Akihabara.
Yes. And then we found a couple other ones as well. We cleaned up pretty good as far as picking up some titles and stuff, which was really fun and inexpensive. So if you don't mind the Japanese version of like Pokemon or Monster Hunter, or in my case, Donkey Kong.
I can't even play this. It's only in Japanese. Oh, that was the cool thing. Was at most of the stores, if you bought things like ARMS, it literally had a thing at the bottom that said, "Oh, this has an English translation. All you have to do is plug it into your system." That's the cool thing about like, and this is cheap. This thing was $12. Monster Hunter Rise, $15.
Yep. I bought Detective Pikachu on the Switch. This was $10. It sells for like $40 used here. So, it was like a budget gamer's paradise. It was very lovely.
Best part is they have so many things sealed in box. And the art on some of these things are so much cooler than they came out in the States.
Yeah,
those are awesome.
we literally went kind of just through the retro bin and would buy stuff just based on the box art. So like this little Yoshi game, which was maybe $9,
I love that
$8,
game.
like is really
Is
really
that-
cute.
Yoshi's Cookie.
No, it's the one where
No.
he's at the bottom and you switch tiles, and if you
Yeah.
put two bloopers on each other, they disappear. And if you put a Yoshi egg bottom with a Yoshi egg top, it eats everything, and then a little Yoshi pops out. It's just called Yoshi.
It's just
Yes,
called Yoshi.
it was on
It's for
Game
the
Boy
NES.
and NES.
Yeah. Dr. Mario was a household
Oh,
favorite growing up, so I had to
cool.
pick that up.
Yeah,
and
that's
then
a cool
the
art.
favorite one, my favorite one that I got, which was like a $35 thing. This is the Japanese version of Super Smash Brothers for the Nintendo 64.
Yeah.
I
Ooh,
love the box art there.
The
so
art
like,
is excellent.
Look
Yeah,
at
the art's
DK's
really cool.
mouth. That's cool.
yeah, it's like, I think it's actually censored. There's like, he's probably like cursing or something. Yeah, so that was really cool to see some of that stuff in such good shape because, well, we don't really have a lot of boxes here that we keep after we open our games, but they do.
Well, who knew
so
that
that was really, really
A
cool.
box of Pokemon Blue would be hundreds of dollars.
Was Sony as prevalent as Nintendo there in terms of like PlayStation or Sony stores or sort of like characters, or is it Nintendo dominated?
So it depends on where you go. Like
I can tell you there is zero Xbox anything. Like I don't think we saw any Xbox games in
no.
a retro store at all.
But in the book off and the geos, there's huge sections for PlayStation games. Across from the Nintendo store in multiple cities is a Capcom store.
Oh wow,
And
that's cool.
there's Shonen Jump stores for like if you like One Piece and all that. And then actually the last day we were there, they're huge into pop-up stores and they last like less than a week. We went to this one place and there was a line, probably like 150 people deep, to like go in this like tiny store for I don't even know what that was.
It was Sega. It was Sega.
Well, no,
Sega
no.
was
I'm talking about the one with the tree stump. But yes, the Sega was a pop-up
Oh.
store that, again, we got a ticket that was like, you can enter at 10 o'clock tonight. And we were there at 8 in the morning, 9 in the morning.
Whoa.
Yeah, it was nuts. So yeah, they love that kind of stuff, and I would say the pop-up stores definitely last longer than a week. Some of them don't, but
Well, no, the Sega one's
them didn't.
closed now. It was only
No,
there
that was
for a
it?
week. Yeah.
dang it, we missed it. We should have delayed our flight. We could
But
have met Sonic.
that's the crazy thing is like the culture there is like they don't have a lot of space, right? A lot of people don't have a lot of space in their houses, but they like gravitate towards all of these Sonic plushies, and I don't know what they do with them after the fact. That's why when we're in the used game stores, there's so many copies of certain things because they just like play it and then return it. Monster Hunter Rise had like 30 copies, and that game is how old?
Wow.
Yeah, 5 or 6 years. I mean, even the Pokemon games, it was literally like we
Yeah.
went to one store and they're like, yeah, they're on sale for like $21. They're like, just get rid of them. Which made me really angry when I bought Donkey Kong Bonanza at the Nintendo store, only to then go to another store around the corner and find that brand new, it was still somehow $12 cheaper than what I paid for it. I didn't quite understand how MSRP there just doesn't really apply. All right, you know what? Let's do some trivia. You guys ready?
Let's do it.
All right, sweet. We got just enough time for the trivia to take place. I'll be your host this week on trivia. We got 5 questions. Like it always is, we will beat the dealer. So your job is to just try and get more right than you get wrong. Pull up my questions here. All right, if you get the question correct, you'll be greeted with this sound. Nope. How about now? And if you get the question incorrect, you'll be greeted with this sound. If I'm feeling brave, we'll play a little bit of our trivia music in the background, but I'm running a board and a show at the same time, and it's very confusing. So, without further ado,
Was anybody else hoping that the right sound would be Drew's Korok?
it will next week. There's really no theme like there've been in the past. The theme this week, all the trivia questions are kind of based on discussions that we've had over the course of the show. So without further ado,
Round 1.
Round one. Here's your first question. We spoke a lot about Microsoft at the top of the show. Which of the most recent Xbox exclusives has the highest Metacritic score? And I listed these. There's 4 options here. These are listed in alphabetical order. Avowed, Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024, South of Midnight, Starfield.
I don't even know what like simulators get when it comes to Metacritic scores. I know there's a huge fan base there, but like,
I'm going to go Avowed. I don't know why. I haven't even heard of the last 2, so.
are we doing this as a collective?
Yes.
Yeah, so you all have to,
That's my vote.
Well, it's not. Repeat the others besides Simulator and Avowed.
South of Midnight, Starfield.
Yeah, go Avowed. That's fine.
Oh, Avowed is incorrect. The correct answer here is Starfield.
Ew.
Starfield did get under an 85, Drew, but it was a 83. Avowed had an 81. Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024 at a 78, and South of Midnight had 76. This question actually was evolved from a conversation I worked into the rundown initially with was, can we even name any Microsoft exclusives that have come out recently? Avowed and South of Midnight have both come out this year. And Flight Simulator, which was an update to a Flight Simulator 2020, which was a soft reboot of the franchise. Flight Simulator in 2020 scored a 91 on Metacritic. And it was one of like 43 games in IGN's history to get a 10. So there you have it. Okie dokie.
We were close.
0 for 1.
Round 2.
All right, question number 2. According to the Guinness Book of World Records, the original Donkey Kong, released in 1981, is the first video game to feature what? There's no multiple choice here.
A female. That would be my guess. I mean, if you're thinking that's arcade, right? So you're like Galaga, Space Invaders. There's not a lot of characters. Maybe it's the first monkey. I don't know.
I mean, there was Pac-Man and Miss Pac-Man, but I don't know when Miss Pac-Man came out. I also don't know when Pac-Man came out. Just saying. What even was like released before?
Well, what else was prevalent in the game besides a monkey, a man, and a woman? A hammer?
Yeah,
I mean, like
damsel in distress. I'm fine with the female character. No, you don't control Donkey. Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Final answer?
Let's do it. Female. A female character. Damn it.
I'm hoping I don't get booed on this one. It was the first. It's considered the first game to feature cutscenes or a story, a narrative.
Oh, wow.
Cutscenes I can see.
But Pac-Man...
I'm just saying in general. I can
Miss
see
Pac-Man had cutscenes, right? Like in between the levels, it would do those little vignettes and...
So I would have. That's why I added or narrative. I would have accepted either one of those answers. I feel like Drew teetered on it for a split second. So again,
with what? The damsel in distress?
Yeah, I was like, oh, we're getting close. Like there's a story there. All right.
That's fair.
I guess 0 for 2. Moving on.
Round 3.
I thought they were easy. I guess they're not as easy. Okay. Maybe this one is. I'm gonna hope. The Donkey Kong franchise is responsible for the iconic name of what other Nintendo character? Is it A, Bowser, B, Fox McCloud, C, Kirby, D, Samus, or E, Toad?
I'm thinking, like, was Toad... So Toad wouldn't have been around until the Mario games, and was Toad ever really named? I mean, you have your princess was in another castle, but
He might have been named in Mario 2.
Oh, that's right.
because you were
plays
selecting him.
You plays him, right?
Not that I should be answering your questions in any way, but
Repeat Bowser, Toad. I don't know. If the
Bowser,
other three are.
Fox McCloud, Kirby, Samus, or Toad?
Good lord.
I'm thinking it's not Bowser. I feel like Fox McCloud is further away for that.
Probably. But it also feels too out there.
Drew, do you have a hunch, one way or the other?
Not at all, because I don't see the correlation with like Samus. I don't see the correlation with Fox McCloud. Like Bowser, I feel like they're similar. Like instead of throwing barrels, he's shooting fireballs from his mouth. And then I also, where would Toad have come into play?
That's why I feel like Kirby is more of a logical, like, standalone character that they would draw and bring into its own franchise, where Bowser and Toad sort of lived within the world of Mario, and I don't see how Samus or Fox McCloud could come from that. Like, Kirby's sort of like another cartoony, silly character, where Samus and Fox were, I mean, one's an animal and one's a human.
I mean, I'd be okay with Kirby, like the fire in Donkey Kong reminds me of the fire enemy that Kirby sucks up and then gets the ability.
Kirby also has that hammer.
Yeah, which is the gorilla is like very closely resembling Donkey Kong.
Right, that sort of red star.
I'm going with Kirby.
Let's
I
do
think
it.
we convinced ourselves. Hopefully it's right.
Not even close. Yay!
Oh my god.
Kirby hat!
Kirby is correct for not a single reason that you had mentioned.
Bro.
So here's
Just let us have it. Just say it's correct.
No, you can have it, but I want to fill you in. I want to fill you in on why, so that you know why. Well, you know why. Because then the follow-up question, which is a bonus, would make absolutely no one would get it. So when they were developing Donkey Kong, Miyamoto-san thought that because his English wasn't very good, he thought that donkey meant stubborn, which okay, I can give him that, but he thought Kong was the English translation for the word ape, so he named him Stubborn Ape, and it translated to Donkey Kong. Universal Pictures sued for copyright infringement over King Kong. Nintendo won in court thanks to the efforts of the lawyer that represented Nintendo, whose name was John Kirby. And in tribute to him, they named Kirby after him.
I remember hearing about this.
Yeah.
Kirby's original intended name, does anyone know what it is?
Pink Puff. I don't know.
I should know this.
Close.
Yeah,
His original name is Popopo.
Slightly better. I would take Popopo.
Yeah, but Kirby is now iconic. Okay, all right. Good deduction, even though it was not. You got the right answer, even though the reasoning wasn't there.
Accidentally.
But, all right, that's fine. It works. All right, you're back in the game. Here we go.
Round 4.
Okay. Question number 4 is an audio question. Like the audio questions I've done previously, you will get 2 points if you can get this correct without needing the multiple choice options. You will get 1 point if you need me to read the multiple choice options. All right. So your audio question: what is the name of the song that you learn in Ocarina of Time? Feel free to jump in whenever you.
That's Sarah's song.
Yeah,
That's
she's playing it.
That's
when
Sarah's
you-
song.
That is correct. Saria apparently is how you pronounce that, but I will take Sarah's song for that one. 2 points.
Yes.
Question 5. Here we go.
Round 5.
This is the hardest one, so I will apologize now. Drew talked about Claire Obscure earlier in the show. That is correct. That I remember. That did happen. And it feels like right now that may be the front runner for Game of the Year 2025. It was published by a French studio, Sandfall Interactive. It is their first published game in the last 12 years. This goes back to the start of the Game Awards in 2014. In the last 12 years, there has only been one game that's been nominated for Game of the Year that was put out by a first-time development studio. What is that game?
And to clarify, you said nominated but not won, right?
Correct.
Okay. Stardew Valley.
It didn't win?
Okay.
Didn't win. I don't think it won.
As Game of the Year, right?
Yes, it's in the last 12 years, there has been only one game that's been nominated for Game of the Year that was made by a first-time development studio, i.e. it was their very first title.
Can we ask for a hint?
I can, the only hint I can give you is just the little bit of info I put down. This game came out in 2022. For those listening at home, I'm watching three people look off into space, hoping the answer will be beamed into their brains. Any guesses?
I take back my Stardew Valley. Oh, was it Hades?
Was Hades that short ago?
What year was Hades?
2018?
Was it really? Oh wow. Wow.
No, it was. I think it said 20. Hold on. 2020.
Yes, they
came
have.
out in 2020.
2020. Okay.
The
Yeah,
problem with
Super
those
Giant.
games is like green. It gets greenlit or whatever, and the game is out, and then there's not an official release. Like Hades 2 is out, but there's the official release
Nope,
isn't
early
until
access.
later this year. Yeah, but if you play on Steam, you've played the game how many hours, and then it finally comes out. So it's just weird. I don't
All
like that.
We're gonna cue
2022.
the clock. Any guesses?
I'm gonna forfeit. I can't think of anything.
Can I get a platform?
Multi-platform?
Oh, lovely.
And we're going to kill it. We're going to kill it right there. The game was 2022's Stray.
Oh, I played it only for like an hour, and then Chip went crazy, and I was like, I can't play this game unless I have headphones on because all these other cats are making my cat go crazy.
That's pretty funny. All right, well, sadly, we did not beat the dealer this time around, but I appreciate you guys playing. And the Kirby one, I think in and of itself is a win on its own. So I would take that and kind of run with it there. So I'm happy that you got that one. All right, well, that's gonna do it for our show this month. I want to thank Dan and Drew and Joe for hopping on to talk games and everything. I hope you folks at home have enjoyed what you heard. Please check out our other videos on YouTube, older episodes of our podcast. I'm probably going to hop on and do some live streaming sometime soon, maybe play some Donkey Kong there, and check out our socials as well, Level 30 Games on Instagram and Blue Sky. Otherwise, we're going to head on out. Next time we see you, Dan will have a wedding ring on his finger, and Joe is still going to be bad pizza, and Drew Drew will visit your blinds. All right, I'm rambling now. Everyone, have a great month. We'll see you in the next episode. Adios.
Bye.
Ciao.